Hi, this is Dr. Scott Young, and today we're going to get into a topic that I actually talked about with Mark Z. We are going to get into the Biden conversation of is it Parkinson's or dementia? Coming right up. Now, firstly, what I'm going to do is bring this up. Now, if you don't have your volume turned up really loud, or if you're trying to watch it on a phone, sometimes they don't come through. A computer is an easier way to do this. I mean, I can't make this any louder. I will try to post the video points, but you can go to my Telegram page right down here below, and these videos are already there. Okay, so don't think they're not there in that way. The national conversation centers on this Parkinson's point, and a lot of people want to go toward it. Okay, now I'm going to give you a little statement before we play it. Here is Parkinson's has a couple things. There's a tremor issue, a rhythmic shaking, and one of the things that I have seen, and why would I even talk about this? Because for 35 years I am an audiologist. I have to see patients who are 70 years old and beyond on a consistent basis. I have more experience with looking at that. I've done research on this kind of issue to find out. I've researched so I know what dementia means, what Parkinson means, because we have to deal with the patients. As an audiologist, it's very hard. I'm going to bring this off the screen for a second. But a patient who's trying to put in their hearing aids, they're shaking and they can't get it. If you watch Michael J. Fox is a really significant Parkinson's patient, and he actually has this whole movement. And if you watch an episode, kind of the middle of the seasons of Scrubs, he's plays a doctor with who's OCD and he's got Parkinson's. Very interesting kind of episode. And I would say Joe doesn't show this because here's one of the things that happens. Number one, and it's very high on the list, is a tremor, a rhythmic shaking. What that is an upper motor neuron conversation. What do I mean by that? It comes from the basal ganglion that will mess with, number one, movement. So fine motor movement is not very good. You can actually see when a patient's writing, you see that. Now, it can also come from strokes, but strokes can also bring on a basal ganglion problem with it too. Now, one of the things that we'll talk about is decision making because some of the emotions are messed up here too. Now, this is a lower level conversation. When we talk about that, it's not a direct link. Sometimes it happens because secondary to a lot of the problems of what you cannot do anymore. Okay. So a lot of this and what we get is the stiff movement that people want to talk about. So let's listen to the dude that kind of brings this up.
Yeah, I see him 20 times a day in clinic. I mean, it's ironic because he has just this classic features of neurodegeneration. I mean, word finding difficulties, and that's not, oh, I couldn't find the word. That's from degeneration of the word retrieval area.
He's also overcome stuttering, though.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So he's talking about word degeneration studies. Okay, that is not as common in Parkinson's as it is in dementia. Okay, some people want to say Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's would be someone who's younger who gets it. I'm talking about in their 40s, 50s, 60s. And then, now you might see them. Now, when you see someone who's 80 years old, Joe is 81, whoever he is, 81, and that's not really the Alzheimer's issues. Okay, it's not. Dementia is like the junk term for all of those neurological problems with that too. So it's fascinating that this Parkinson's dude is talking this way with us too. So listen a little closer. But stuttering is, they've tried to bring this up as a point, and we're going to talk about why they say this, because it doesn't bring his mind into effect, and neither does the point of Parkinson's. Okay, so watch this.
Could that be part of that too?
No, this is not a palatal issue or a speech discrepancy, which is very different from a lemino dysfunction, actual word retrieval, where you pick a similar question or talk around the issue, plus the rigidity, monotone voice.
Wait, go back to that, the rigidity. What do you mean?
Rigidity, loss of arm swing, standing up lordically. You notice when he turns, it's kind of end block turning. It's not a quick turn. So that's one of the hallmarks of Parkinson's is rigidity.
Yeah, but you can't tell that. It's kind of ridiculous to say that because you wouldn't know if someone had a back injury or a hip injury. I see people who are like that. And this neurologist is not being totally honest here because you wouldn't see that as a direct link. You might say that could be secondary, but the primary one that he doesn't deal with is the tremor points.
And bradykinesia, slow movement. And he has that hallmark, especially with the low voice, that said was a cold, hypophonia, a small monotone voice.
Okay, so hypophonia, hypo means less, phonia is how you speak. So for instance, you can talk really big or you can talk really softly. Okay, sorry, I wasn't trying to scream at you, but he's talking about the hypophonia. I'm going to show you that it doesn't even make any sense either. Okay, that is the last thing that he really has.
It's like this over time is a hallmark of Parkinsonism. I could have diagnosed him from across the mall.
Here are some of the.
So let's go back to that point. Rigidity, tremors. We see rigidity. We don't see tremors. We see some of the low movement or slowed movement and, masked face and soft voice. Okay, that is completely nuts. Okay, let's move over into this one here, and we're going to go over to Parkinson's disease points. So again, slow movement, rigid muscles, impaired posture and balance. Some of those are close, but speech issues happen. So let me talk about speech issues. As a singer, I have a problem with the cough issues. You might hear my voice. This is a spiritual problem, guys. Don't tell me all of your homeopathic evidence. I've done everything in the world. This is a spiritual issue. This is something, it's a bit of an attack, okay? And I know you can't understand that, but as a person who's gone through my own miracle healing, I know this is the case, okay? I've done all the math. I've done all the diagnostics with this stuff too. Dysphonia or hypophonia. Dysphonia means you have the two vocal folds. They go together, the left and the right. And when you go together, your voice has a strong power to it. Okay? When you have a dysphonia, you will sound gravelly or even a whisper, and you can't really put together that kind of speech. Now, let me give you a dysphonia guy. Robert Kennedy, or RFK Jr. absolutely has dysphonia. Okay, the left vocal fold normally will not go over, and you see that Aries kind of speech. Now, if he had done some of this kind of thing on top of this dysphonia, I'd say, well, maybe. But dysphonia is just another neurological problem, but it doesn't affect his mind. See, we're not talking about that, and that's why you're going to see some of these crazy things. Okay. Let's go over and look at why we can't say he has dysphonia, and we're going to go over to dementia, and I'll give you some background. So watch this one.
Nothing our nations can achieve if we do it together. I really mean it. So thank you all. God bless you all. Let's go lick the world. Let's get it done.
Let's go lick the world. Okay, first off, you did hear a little bit of messed up in the voice, but that could be from, been talking a long time. Now I'm going to show you a fun one. What I want you to see, and the key to this, is the timing of when our dude here shows you Bidenese. Okay, it's a funny guy. You can kind of catch him on TikTok. The dude should be given an Emmy. It's unbelievably good, but he uses crazy words. These are word association or word salad problems that is not related to Parkinson's. It's always related to someone who has a dementia issue. Watch some of this stuff, and he gives you the actual fun things here.
I am going to teach you how to speak Bidenese. I'm going to teach you a few words, and then we'll get the proper pronunciation and context from the master himself, President Joe Biden. The first word I'm going to teach you today is nexnosrent. Nexnosrent. President Biden will now demonstrate this word for us.
Donald Trump does pose an excellent threat to this.
Okay, look at below here. I'm pausing it for a second. Presidential candidates. This could be 2019, 2020 timeframe. And that's going to be important here in just a second, okay?
It's not hypothetical.
It's not hypothetical. Nexnosrent. Okay, the next word we've got is badikefker. Badikefker. Say it. Try it. Badikefker.
Now listen to how strong his voice is, and this actually is part of the disproving of Parkinson's.
President Biden.
Barack and I think it's a right for people to have bad health care.
Next, my butt's been wet. Now, a common error on this one is people put the stress on the wrong syllable. It's not my butt's been wet. It's not my butt's been wet. It's my butt's been wet. Say it. My butt's been wet.
My butt's been wet.
Next, we have a word that's much simpler. Palmist. Palmist. Can you say palmist? President Biden, palmist.
And if we do, and I'm sure we can proclaim the palmist with the palmist who wrote these following words.
All right, now that you've got 4 words in the bag, we're going to move on to a really complex Bidenese word. Do you think you're ready for it? You're going to really have to pay attention here. This is sort of advanced level Bidenese. Very long word, okay? This is what it is. It's a very long word. Are you ready? Truender dash dubba depressure. Truender dash dubba depressure. One word. One word. Truender dash dubba depressure. Say it a little more quickly. Truender dash dubba depressure. Truender dash dubba depressure. President Biden, go.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international pressure.
Truender dash dubba depressure.
Guys, when was this occurring? This is occurring in 2019, 2020, 2021. When he put that video out, it was around 2021. Did you catch what I'm saying? No, pause that for that in your head for a second, and we're going to bring this up here over here in a second. I want you to see some of the early signs, and don't worry about the Alzheimer's. It doesn't have Alzheimer's, okay? Here are the signs of Alzheimer's. Memory loss that disrupts daily life. Does that sound a little similar to some of the videos that we're talking about? Of course it does. Challenges in planning or solving problems relate to just seeing him in press conferences, and we see him not even be able to finish the sentence, or he gets disrupted and he goes, well, or something like that, or he goes off in some crazy land kind of stuff, a stuttering problem. And that's why they think stuttering, but it's fake. And I'm going to explain that in a second. Number 3, difficulty completing familiar tasks. For instance, I have this Contiga cup, and there is a cover over it. And I would see patients, I've seen patients do this, and they pick up the cup and they try to drink out of it and it doesn't work. But they didn't remember they had to click the cup up. It's a little tight. Click the cup up, so that it unlocks the head, so that you can drink from it, right? That's an example of that familiar task problem. Confusion with time or place. When Biden says, I'm following the commander in chief, he's supposed to be the commander in chief. I would say that's a calm, but there's another conversation. He says, Vice President Trump, and he's referring to Kamala. Word salad points. Trouble understanding visual images, spatial recognitions, or relationship points. And it's really recognition points. And we're seeing the same kind of thing. I mean, he cannot be able to do that kind of stuff, right? new problems with words in speaking or writing, misplacing things, losing and retracing his steps. How many times have you watched him walk off stage and he can't even figure out where he's going, right? Decreased or poor judgment, withdrawals from work or social activities. How many times do they not put him out there? Changes in mood and personality. We see this quite a bit, that someone who is super nice, when they start having dementia issues, they will change and be very angry kind of personality. Okay, dealing with a friend of mine who knows a lot about the Nassar stuff and was helping another gentleman out, and I'd seen him when I fit him with the hearing aids, and there was a definite difference in what happens with this stuff too. So when I tell you another thing that I've said from 2020 is flat affect. Now, if I were showing you flat affect, do you see it? It's just like, I'm not reacting. Now, if there's nothing going on, you might see someone, they're waiting in a waiting room and they're, right? And you do that. But let's just say you've seen Biden with they're playing music and everyone else is kind of dancing and jamming around him. And he's like, flat affect is one of the classic symptoms of not just a Parkinson's. It is a Parkinson's point, but it's way more related to dementia because he's taking outside stimuli and is not processing it very effectively. Okay, why would you go with Parkinson's? Let's just say Michael J. Fox is the president. What would Michael J. Fox need to be a president? No, I'm not talking about in later stages. I don't know where he is right now in his stages points. But when you've maybe seen him on camera and you see that, that whole body shaking. Sometimes we get, just a hand shaking and the head's not shaking. But when we have a much more advanced case of Parkinson's, the whole body will be moving, and that makes it really difficult for them to do any task. But I watch these same people and they're frustrated that they can't do those tasks, but their mind it's not the problem with the mind. That's why this neurologist is not being really honest in the statements that he's brought up here. Because someone like Michael J. Fox could actually function in the role. He would just have, he would want to be able to tell the secretary to write this down, or the personal assistant to say that, or this person to do that issue. And you might hear a level of dysphonia, like you would see that, happens with RFK Jr., or you might see like a raspy voice. But that also comes along with dementia issues. And he couldn't even walk off stage with Trump. He can't even finish and answer those questions. Those are not Parkinson related points. So if we had Michael J. Fox in office, we'd say, well, he's functioning capably enough, but he just needs some help. Or if, we have FDR. FDR couldn't walk. So, that's with his polio issues, right? And they covered it up that he really couldn't walk because he wasn't out of his wheelchair. And he dies of his polio issue or complications therein. And because we always want presidents to be, bigwigs, there's nothing wrong with it, with an impaired physical president. But my wife is a psych nurse, and she and I were talking about this issue too. But if a patient comes in and they're incapable of doing a process from a legal standpoint, we talk about a person that needs to have a proxy to take over. So think about when you've had a parent or a grandparent, that is now losing their functions, and you become a trust agent, okay? Because contracts are between two like-minded, capable individuals who enter into a legal agreement. Now, catch what I'm saying here. If they don't want to tell you dementia, I'm telling you dementia. And it's one of the interesting points because as soon as if they ever say dementia, and I'm telling you right now, they're probably going to say something like this. If they say dementia, the follow-up question was, when did you notice the first signs of dementia? Now, we can prove because we can take our little Bidenese statement, sorry.
Today,
We can do the Bidenese statement and show you from 2019, 2020 that he had issues of incapable, cognitive abilities. Then therefore, every single judgment that he's ever made or signed an executive order is now constitutionally illegal, and they're required to bring him out on the 25th. You don't have to bring someone out because they have Parkinson's on 25th them. Not at all. You do not have to do that. So that's why I'm trying to tell you, if they have to admit the dementia issue, it actually nullifies all of his executive orders. It nullifies even the level of his presidency. Then it would actually nullify the whole administration and filter down. And do you see what happens in there? That's why I'm telling you right now, Biden or the actor therein has dementia. I told people, including an old teacher of mine in junior high, who beat me to bloody pulp around in late 2000 or 2020, that Biden had stage 2 dementia. It was on Facebook. I mean, I've already gotten deleted off Facebook, but it absolutely is the case. He 100% has dementia. He does not have Parkinson's. That's me talking. That's my own words. I'm going to stick by that kind of point. But I think there is a deeper narrative that you're missing when you don't understand what happens in there. When you just say it's Parkinson's, you're scot-free, to use my name as in a pun. But when you use dementia, you're screwed. Hope that helps you out, guys. If you like what we see here, just type in some points. Don't get too focused on overall point of dementia and Parkinson's. I'm trying to share with you from an insight that you might see. But the reality is dementia is very bad for their narrative. That's the point I want you to catch. Thank you so much.